it is clear to me the United States is a warrior nation. It has been addicted to war from the start of its creation, and it is able to sustain its warfare habit only by mugging American taxpayers and believing in its mission as God's chosen. This is wrong, and we must stop that now. So I get into this process. Let me just quote two people, very different actually, Benjamin Franklin and Dr. King. Benjamin Franklin said, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." And Dr. King, "We are called to speak for the weak, for the voiceless, for the victims of our nation, and for those it calls enemy. For no document from human hands can make these humans any less our brothers." Why am I here? Why did I come out to San Francisco? It is simply this. If we do not speak up now, 7 years into the 21st century, there will not be a 22nd century. Humanity as we know it is on the line. By allowing the opportunity to impeach George Bush and Dick Cheney to slip away, Democratic leadership and the ineffectual Congressional Black Caucus are complicit in the death of the rule of law in the United States of America. There is hardly a law that has not been broken by the Bush gang in their 6-year crime spree. A massive criminal conspiracy that began with the theft of the 2000 election and continued with impunity under a Democratic Congress. As a person of color, I recognize particularly the Black Caucus, whose constituents would support impeachment in an instant, are trembling like chihuahuas under the gaze of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. We recognize that laws can be broken at will. There is no law. If the Democrats don't even make an effort to impeach George Bush or Dick Cheney before these criminal terms are up, then no president of the United States will ever face punishment for crimes against his people or humanity at large. It is time to send Bush and Cheney back to where they came from before January of 2009. This president and his administration has effectively destroyed the Constitution as a barrier to executive dictatorship. If laws can be broken at will, there is no law. Congress may as well stop enacting them and go home themselves. And so with that in mind, recently on July 1st, there was a gathering at the U.S. Social Forum. And the title of that gathering was "Another World is Possible, Another U.S. is Necessary." Many of my friends today, many of you today have gathered thinking that, well, Rev, maybe it is that we're dealing with a time when we must deal with war, poverty, and racism. Let me go back in history for you to then go back to show you some examples how dangerous this can be. Yesterday, me and Sansara were talking, and we were making the joke that sometimes the ones who will be most upset about my discussion are my Christian brothers and sisters themselves. Well, the Christian right, for the record, in my opinion, is neither Christian nor right. And it is time for them to meet the right Christians. It's actually time for them to meet some good people, like my good friends who are atheists agnostic, pagans, Jews, everybody. It's time for humanity to rise up. Why I mention this is because between 1650 and 1838, Catholic priests known as Jesuits decided that in order to end slavery, they decided to buy slaves themselves. I want to say that again. Catholic priests decided that to end slavery, they themselves would purchase slaves themselves. The reason this was the case, as you can understand, is that at that time in history, you cannot imagine a world that was without slavery. So in their mindset, it actually would make sense that they would think the only way that you can stop it is to show this, to kind of go along with it. And so these Catholic priests begin to buy slaves in large numbers. Literally, Georgetown University, the priests from that university create a plantation called the White Marsh Farm in order to show other slave owners how to be good slave owners at that time. And this will continue for a long time. And the reason I bring this up is that, as the U.S. Social Forum said, another world is possible. We don't need to settle for what this country is putting forth. We don't need to settle for what this president is putting forth. We must now have an abolitionist mentality, like a John Brown. The same way that they had the mentality to put forth slavery and to say that, and this is very common, I say this in San Francisco. I take a moment to pause here. One of the things that we must deal with young people is the fact that now in our generation, we now have this new nuance called time card activists. And in this time card activists, the only thing that people want to do is get paid for being an activist. And they have no idea, they have no caring about that. If it's getting paid for healthcare or war or whatever it is, if the payment stops, they stop. We also have this thing called this non-government organization, NGO industrial complex, that's actually based right here in San Francisco. So a lot of the foundations putting up forth people and putting up funds that do nothing for the people. That would be the same thing if this was back in the 16th or 17th century. They would be then funding these Catholic priests to show the world the Catholic priests would put together good programs and portfolios of how good the slaves are doing, how good they're reading, how good they're doing. They would put together funding packets, and he would fund this nonsense. And so we can't fall into this behavior. We might not get funded for this process, might not get funded for our work. But we must have an abolitionist mentality like John Brown. Slavery is wrong. We can't be complicit. We can't be a part. Like right now, this Bush administration, the way this government is going, the way that we are dealing with torture, the way we are dealing with our citizens is wrong. We will not be complicit. Got to stand up now. And I know that might be hard because a lot of the funders who might have come by today said, well, they're not going to fund you, Reverend Yearwood, anymore. Well, so be it. I got to side with the people like that. I'm not going to side with the slave owners. I'm going to side with the slaves. I'm going to side with the oppressed. I'm going to side with the Iranians. I'm going to side with the Iraqs. I'm going to side with the people of the world. And it's the people